Just whenever you are ready, dog.
Okay, I'm ready.
I mean, it's going. It's going, but
yeah, this could be left in. Yeah, guys, welcome to the first ever just podcast of my own. I pretty much figured out in my own head like a subject that would be a good one for the first podcast.
He totally wanted to add 2 more welcomes.
Yeah, I did.
I could like hear it on your voice, like welcome. And don't say welcome again.
But yeah, so pretty much that's what me and Trav were discussing is I don't have an intro yet, but whatever. I guess that whole mess up will be the intro. I didn't really mess up. I don't know. But yeah, this is going to be, the plan was that if I'm going to do a podcast, any subject of any kind, I'm going to go all out. And this is truly like, I'm all about lists and everything. I mean, everybody knows, like, I'm just kind of the list guy. I just make lists, whether they make sense or not. I just do them. But I mean,
so basically, you're just wanting to do, like, you want to just talk about literally like every superhero, like DC, like, Marvel. This is everything. Just
every superhero movie I have ever seen. This is 82 movies, unless I forgot something, but 82 in total. So basically, this is just going to be me trying to justify this order for however long this goes. This is going to be a while because, I mean, I know that not only is it going to be a while, I know we ain't going to just stick to just talking about strictly these movies because this is going to get so sidetracked. It's unreal. And that's the plan. Like, the plan is for this to go completely off the rails and we get just completely just start talking about a lot of other things. I'm pretty sure that, I mean, that's destined to happen. I don't know how it couldn't.
Like, I mean, every time, you know, every time we talk in a party on Xbox or on the phone, I mean, that's what happens.
That's going to be
we go on and on about everything.
That's going to be the complete vibe of this. It's like an Xbox Live party late night, and it is kind of late.
And I mean, and the thing is, like, this is, you know, and Ryan hit me up with the idea of his own podcast, you know, and I told him, like, you know, yeah, like, I mean, it makes sense for your channel to have one, and like, it's obviously just a fun outlet for maybe me and him to dive into something further that we may not even touched base on talking about, like, over the phone. I mean, because we have had like 6-hour conversations about movies on the phone before, and like, it's one of those things where it's just kind of it's basically long story short, guys, his idea is taking a phone call and recording it, like, pretty basically much. but staring into a subject. Obviously, we're not going to be like life and then this other thing, like, you know,
I mean,
superhero film. Yeah, if it happens,
never know.
Sure,
this could lead into life.
I'm just saying that, like, superhero films, like, I'm just trying to say that I think Ryan wants to go in a particular direction with each episode. So each episode will have a subject.
And I want it to be a subject that goes ham. The most fun this is going to be is pretty much the fact of the ranking itself, I think is going to be fun because Trav, I'm sure, has zero idea where anything falls on this list.
Yeah, and I'm most likely going to feel opposite about it, so that's going to be the interesting part.
That's why I wanted to do this, because I'm like, even if it's just
who knows, if we go too long, might have to do this like part 2 or something. You know, we'll see.
Mean,
where to begin with this?
That's the question. I was going to
bottom of the list.
I'm going to start at the very bottom and work my way to number 1. I think that's the best way to do it because that leaves suspense of my top 10. But anyway, I already know, even not even looking at it, I already know my number 83. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Dead bottom, the dead last. I hate it. Like, there's just something about it. Like, and everyone else I've came across about Amazing Spider-Man 2 has always said it's meh. For everyone, it seems to be a mad movie, which.
But I definitely haven't met anyone that hates it more than you. And I mean, it's to be understood. And just by the way, guys, obviously full spoilers alert. If you haven't seen this podcast is going to have full, like, if we want to go into detail, we're not going to hold back, because a lot of these movies have been out forever. Like even Endgame is like too old to be like not be able to be spoiled. So, I mean, okay, Amazing Spider-Man 2 like had this like. It was a movie of that time. I don't know how else to explain it. And Amazing Spider-Man 2 is coming off of how good, I'll just say this, good at the time the first one was. The first one, whenever I saw it, it was literally like, yep, that's better than anything Raimi put out. That's better. Like, and it's unfortunately, those two movies are unfortunately movies that revisiting, I've realized basically everything that, and honestly, a lot of stuff that not. I have different reasons to not care really much for it anymore. And Matt is a good example because there are elements in it that I really, really loved. I mean, like Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield's chemistry, just perfect. And the fact that they really dated around that time, apparently it didn't end up working out, but you could just tell like they actually had a thing. Gwen Stacy's death, just it's the music. It's everything. It's a super emotional scene until I realized everything got ruined when I realized, okay, you're like begging for her to come back. You're crying. Like Andrew Garfield's giving this amazing, no pun intended, a performance, but it totally gets debunked story-wise. And just if you're trying to tie this to reality, I know it's a freaking man that swings from buildings and everything, but you know, Spider-Man has always tried to be a little bit, you know, like he's Spider-Man in a real world. You know, and he does literally nothing, not one thing to bring her back.
That sums up the entire movie. There's no direction, man. There's moments like, yeah, I mean, that's a beautifully shot moment. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You got to wait 2 hours until that happens of literal.
On top of like,
nonsense.
You know, Dane DeHaan Goblin, people were just like, good Lord, no. It does. Everything's just rushed. There's too many villains. There's just too many villains in this movie.
There's too much going on in general. Literally, at one point in the review, to quote it, I literally say, yeah, it's just another one of these 50 subplots. Like, I mean, there's probably like literally 50 subplots. I'm
literally all they had to do was rather pick one. Focus on Electro, Electro's like even more eye-rolling. But yeah, just, you know, Spider-Man lied to me. I'm so angry in Times Square. It's just, I don't know, not feeling it.
That was the moment the movie totally lost me. I was like, yo, is this a real movie? Like, I literally thought that a few times. I'm like, is this really the movie? Well, 82, Batman v Superman.
Oh, no. That bad, huh?
To me, yeah.
Hey, at least you put me Spider-Man 2 as worse. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, obviously, BVS is way higher than Amazing Spider-Man 2. But
Batman v Superman, BVS, is yet another movie on my worst of all time list. Yo, I forgot. So an update. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is number 84 now. BVS is number 83. And I just put a brand new movie at number 82 that I forgot all about, that I have seen, but I haven't rewatched it in probably, no lie, 20 years.
Let me guess, Superman Returns.
Superman Returns, I've never seen.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen that movie. Anyway, 82. This is, like I said, a movie I haven't seen in 20 years, but it was bad. And I'm talking about, I hated it as a kid. Bad. Supergirl. And I'll tell you, man, I think I watched it with mom and dad, because I mean, that would have been way back when I was just watching every movie with them. I wasn't watching movies like on my own or anything. I don't know. It's rough. It's bad. So, okay, I added another movie. So the list is even more different.
We will have 105 by the time.
So now, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is 85. BVS is 84. So Supergirl is 83. So next, I don't think this is really stretching superhero movie, the definition, because you can kind of stretch the definition maybe in ways, because that was another fun thing about making this list is I'm like, okay, so what's a superhero movie? Which seems obvious, but sometimes it's kind of
there's definitely a gray area.
Yeah. Because there's a few on this list further up that I'm like, well, that is a superhero movie. Like, I don't know.
To me, if any of the the anti-hero films, I still would count them.
This is another movie that I don't know if Trav's seen or even heard of or whatever. So this is 82. My Super Ex-Girlfriend.
Yeah, definitely not.
Which is on my worst of all time list as well. That vibe. So Supergirl is like the 80s weird experimental movie vibe, which is so bad. But this is more of the mid 2000s quirky like scary movie kind of like type of vibe, where it's all like, oh, making fun of superhero movies kind of thing, which by the freaking way, I didn't put superhero movie. I don't know. I hate everything about it.
Actually, yeah, I've seen that.
I saw it
probably only like one time, and I feel like it was definitely just on TV. You know what? And I've always kind of dug the poster, her crushing the car. It's stupid. It's always been catchy.
Moment of truth. 81 is the Snyder cut.
Oh boy, okay.
Yeah,
well.
I don't like it, man. I mean, upon reflection, man, it's just too long.
Well, and I
wish I didn't have that kind of opinion. I wish I could be like, man, this is so long and I love all of it. Like, man,
just to me, and I know this goes against your opinion, but like it just, even down to like the acting, because I can kind of agree with you about Snyder Cuts being really long, and if it would have been a little bit less, but I totally am behind and understand why he wanted to go all out and make even more. There might be some moments in the Snyder Cut for me that are like, yeah, this feels kind of shoehorned in, like where it obviously doesn't fit. Like, I don't know, like, does it sort of feel, and this might be a little bit of your problem, because I know you're really all about tone and stuff. Like, I mean, I am too, but not on probably your level, but like, it does kind of flip back and forth. Like when you suddenly have, okay, the Flash saving the girl in slow motion, this amazing scene, he pokes the glass, it like breaks, and it's this amazing, just absolutely chef's kiss just sequence. And then it's just like, oh, by the way, Aquaman underwater fighting the villain. Like, it does, I can see how it's like there's just stuff that doesn't feel like it fits.
Which leads me to number 80, Justice League. Because
I think it literally comes down to runtime for you on that. Like, you know what? The shorter, it makes it better, more condensed.
Well, but that's the weird thing, is I'm conflicted even on that, because it's two completely different movies. That's another thing to consider.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I mean, I am counting them as two different movies, but it is just strange because, like, we both knew, and I think this is a fair placement for me, because I like it better than BVS.
Yeah.
Like, I like both way better than BVS, or even like the BVS Ultimate. Like, because it's for me, it's more the merrier. I like more heroes in a movie, and I like how they play off each other. I like these characters, I really do. But I think you're right. I think it does come down to runtime when you really put it down to the wire. But it also is just mostly still neither are solid movies for me. Like, everything is just more solid than BVS, but to me, neither are really competent movies in their own ways because they're very different. But in their own ways, I really think they're almost even with how much I like them anyway. And of course, here's another thing before, I mean, we're just starting. But another thing to preface that I should have prefaced is a big thing with me, and I mean, and even Trav reiterated, is tone. Tone is gigantic. Writing, the directing has to be tight. But what it comes down to, and this is why I think it really comes down to runtime. I hate doing that, but it's, will I ever rewatch this movie? That's what this list might be. That might be the biggest element of this list.
Oh, yeah, and that makes sense.
Will I rewatch this movie? Will I throw it on? Will I throw it on and love it again? That's what it comes down to, really. And as for, Justice League being 80 to 85, I really hope to never watch any of these movies again. And that still goes for way up this but yes, that's a big thing with any of my rankings is rewatchability. Some stuff is really good, but I still won't rewatch it. Like, even that stuff is way up here. Like, we got a while. It leads us to number 79, which is Incredible Hulk.
Oh yeah, I don't blame you there.
This is yet another movie you'll find on my worst of all time list.
So wait, Eric Bana's Hulk is better to you than that?
To me? Yeah.
Okay. I was about to say,
I think so.
Maybe you didn't forget.
I remembered Hulk.
There's the feeling to when you're watching the Incredible Hulk and you're like, okay, this guy that can turn into like basically a monster is just fighting another monster. If you look at the whole MCU, the Incredible Hulk is kind of a waste. But I understand they were trying to get started. But then when you go from Iron Man to that, all of a sudden it's like, this is like, I think Ryan will agree with this. The Incredible Hulk, that movie is exactly the butt end of that time superhero movies. That feeling, that early 2000s superhero movie vibe. That's exactly what the Incredible Hulk is.
I can't agree more. I've always thought literally exactly your words. Exactly. So next, 78, Howard the Duck.
That's what you count. All right. Well,
I'm counting it, man.
Never can technically say
it's a comic book superhero character. I mean, that's it. I watched it with Phil because Phil was interested in seeing it. It's the first Marvel movie ever made, I think. The only reason it's as high as it is it's just one of those movies that just has it just has charm for how it is. It's really weird. I'd put it almost with Supergirl, with that very experimental 80s sci-fi-ish kind of, but it's trying to be more of a family movie, even though it has like adult moments, which that's the 80s anyway. Okay, so 77, Spawn. Really bad. I mean, even Colin, of all people on Earth, who loves the character, is like, yeah, that's extremely bad.
The scenes I've seen of a CGI cape, but in a bad way, like not like Batman level. Because just in case you guys didn't know, in BVS and I think still Justice League, they literally Superman and Batman's capes are always actually CG. They actually did a really good job making them look real. Spawn didn't.
Nope.
Just like it looks so.
Sums up, that scene sums up the whole movie. That and the end, because the end is like, I may be wrong because it's been so long and I don't care to rewatch it anyway. But like the end is like him like meeting the devil, and it's the worst, probably the worst CG I've ever seen, which is saying a lot. I mean, that's saying a lot. Like, it is like blatantly horrible. Like why did they ever even release this into theaters? and I don't like any of the characters. I guess Spawn himself, maybe that's an excuse why it's this high on the list. I like the actor, like I like the character. I do. I think another thing besides rewatchability for this list is characters, which comes down to the writing. Like I said, it comes down to the writing, directing. I mean, you can't have good characters without those, but it's really battle of the characters from this point on, I'd say, in a way. And I'm also, that's saying a lot too, because I'm also not really a guy that's gonna be like, man, Spider-Man is my favorite hero. Like, I've never had a favorite, really. You know, like I guess I could have like slight favorites, like in the MCU.
Well, like yeah, I mean,
you know,
yeah,
but it's
me
like,
and you've had different backgrounds with that. You grew up with like, you know, like
just movies,
Back to the Future, Mouse Hunt, and like all these like, and we've always agreed on that too. Is like I grew up way more with like animated, and I mean you did too, but you watched a lot of live action movies with your parents, and like that's, you know,
I mean it just happens. I mean it's not like,
but I don't think you were like head first like I was into like, okay, the superhero shows on like Fox and all that.
Nah. Well, for one, that's another big factor.
And so superheroes kind of came later for you.
I didn't have TV.
Well, that too, but I think you were exposed to more superhero stuff through like games and all that instead of
by far.
And for me, it was just the shows. Like I just, you know, and the only reason that I've ever said Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, it still today holds. After all the superhero craziness I've gotten to witness, I still can say, like, because it just he still holds such a place. It'll always be Spider-Man, but you know, obviously my taste on other favorites have broadened by a lot, and because you know what, I didn't necessarily grow up with like Batman like everybody else, and then into my adulthood I'm like, yeah, like Batman's like I mean, if I'm really thinking about it, that's number 2. So I mean, it's, you know,
and I'd say I was about to agree with you. Like if I were to pick any favorites of any kind, it'd be Spider-Man and Batman, just in general. I'm just laying it out there. I'm not like a fanboy. I have like this ultimate favorite that's untouchable, can never be changed. I'm never going to be that. Like, it just depends on I just like movies.
Yeah.
Okay. So next up is 76, Batman and Robin, which we knew was coming, but didn't know when. I don't hate it. I mean, it ain't good.
Yeah, and you know what? For what he was given, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, you know, like that's what putting, you know, having that film to go back on and look at clips of him saying "stay cool" and all this stuff is funny. But it's like, but it's not supposed to be funny, and it's just like that's where the line is drawn. Is like, you know, this.
Yeah, it's played very straight because it's played
everything's just like too pretty, like ugly in the way, like everything blatantly looks like a set. It's not like it's a set and it looks good. It looks like a set, so then therefore it's not. I don't know,
man.
And people have theories on like literally just to sell toys, and I mean that's what the movie is it literally looks like a kid took all the characters that are in the movie and is playing with toys. And it's been, you know what, it's been forever since I've actually sat and watched it from the beginning, and I can't necessarily have like
it's difficult because it's also
the most
really
adult
long.
and modern perspective on it. I can't really say that I can have that.
It's really long. I think that's the other thing against it.
Like, and if I'm not wrong, isn't that, you know, and here's the thing that always kind of made me so like just irritated about those Batman movies of that time. Isn't like every single one after that, after Batman and Batman Returns, isn't it literally technically the same universe doing the same story, but you just all of a sudden it's like, here's different actors. Because I'm pretty sure, if I'm not wrong, Alfred was like played by the same guy in a lot of those. And
Alfred's the same throughout the
so
whole thing.
that to me right there, and hearing the confirmation of it is enough for me to be like, oh my gosh, why? Like, why couldn't Batman and Robin just be its own separate thing? Because combining it with all of that, like, it makes no sense. You know what? But when I was a kid and watching that on TV, I always thought Robin is cool. I don't know. I just always remember thinking that modern Robin.
Robin, if he is a problem in the movie, he's the least of the movie's problems. I'll put it like that.
Batman and Robin is so gross.
But yeah, maybe one of the ugliest movies probably ever. By the way, Batman Forever is not on here because I've never made it through. I can't sit through it. I can't do it. Anyway, speaking of ugly movies, 75 Hulk. The only way I can justify it being where it is nostalgia. I think that's the only thing, because me and Trav grew up with it, man. Grew up with it, and I grew up loving it. And then just one day I was like, oops.
As a kid, like, that had to have been a reason that I got scarred by, because, okay, let me put it this way. Let me just break this down for you. People got nightmares and scarred by, just relate it to another film. Terminator 2, with the dream sequence, the explosion, and like being fried into pieces. A lot of people were scarred by that as a kid. I didn't have that. I had these shots of this like explosion in this film. Like, it's not like, okay, Hulk, here we go, a Marvel movie for kids, let's go. This is like really dark.
It actually starts kind of okay.
Yeah.
And then it kind of goes into being really, really, really weird.
This isn't like the worst superhero movie ever, but it's definitely not.
No. I can't hate it. I can't hate it. There's no way.
And like I said, a lot of people hate like the Savage Dog sequence in the forest. I still, when I think about that, I love the idea. Like, I love the idea of Hulk dogs. Because it's also because like I'm an animal and kind of creature and monster guy, so it's kind of it's cool to me, because you had to have something that's gonna try to take down Hulk. Like, you got to have something. And maybe if I watch it now, I'd be like, none of this makes sense, and I hate it.
Very true. Actually, I haven't rewatched it recently at all. 74. X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oof. I'll give it this. It put out a really great game. If anything that movie was able to give us was that amazing video game that a lot of people to this day are still saying, like, that was one of those underrated video games that once people played it later in life, they're like, holy crap, where was this? Like, that game was like phenomenal.
But 73. Ghost Rider 2.
Oh, jeez. Whew.
Ouch.
I'd personally, for me, I would rather watch Origins Wolverine. So probably higher than that. Feels like almost like it's still starring Nick Cage, but it's its own Ghost Rider movie. If that's the best way I can describe Ghost Rider 2, is it feels like they just did one over again with some cooler stuff. I need to re-see both of them. I've seen Ghost Rider 1 way more. I can remember a lot of that movie, but
Ghost Rider 1...
Ghost Rider 2, I think, was literally just that time in theaters, and I was like the moment that he sends the devil or whatever down under, I was like, yeah, this isn't good.
It's just bad, man. It's just an ugly, terrible... nothing movie. But anyway, 72 Daredevil.
I knew that was coming soon. I saw it in theaters when it came out, and it's definitely 2000s. Duncan as Kingpin, I loved it. I was like, wow, like, he actually fits.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
But
That's
it was
fair.
just like, but he's just at the end, and that's like it. And it makes no sense.
Another movie that's not on here because I never actually watched it is The Punisher, that movie.
Yeah.
And yes, there's Punisher 2, but I've never seen either. Anyway, 71, Captain Marvel.
I'll just say this right off the bat as my biggest thing about Captain Marvel to me is just I can't, and I think Ryan's going to agree as to one of his reasons that he didn't like it at all. I cannot attach to Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. Just can't. Apparently, in real life, she's unlikable. And you know what? Sorry, not sorry. That resonates on screen. If you actually made it all the way to this point, let me know of a great Brie Larson performance. I want to like look up some scenes or actually watch the movie. I want to see this girl be better than she's been in this Marvel stuff because I don't know. It honestly, to me, besides the Edward Norton thing, it's the weakest casting of the entire MCU. And I hate to say that because I wanted to like her. Like when I saw the trailer, I'm like, that this movie looks cool. Like I was hyped enough, I'm not a Captain Marvel fan, but I was hyped on the level of it's an MCU movie. We're going to go see this on like opening night or whatever.
It's forgettable. It's mediocre. And worst of all, it's this late into the MCU. And it was just that bad, at least to me. But anyway. Number 70, Fan Force Stick.
Never actually saw it, so I don't know.
Which I knew you hadn't seen it yet. I hadn't seen it till incredibly recently. Me and Hannah went ahead and watched it because it's on Disney Plus. It starts out really good. Like that's the worst part of it. It's the first half is actually like, holy crap, they're actually taking this like kind of serious. Yeah. And I'll sum up the last half with I think the last line of the movie, if not like very, very close to the closing like 30 seconds of the movie. The last line is "The Thing," which that design is so bad. Saying it's fantastic.
No.
Like that is like the lazy. It couldn't be lazier. But anyway, so number 69, Catwoman.
Oh jeez.
Everyone knew it was coming at some point.
It's taking her and doing that whole thing where she's the only superhero in the world that is doing something like this and just taking a side character and trying to make it super cool early 2000s. And the cover is garbage. Yep. So let's just...
Anyway. Number 68, Jonah Hex.
Yeah, we saw that in theaters, and I remember being like,
I
don't
even remember that.
There was a exactly.
Oh.
There was a time, all right. There was a time, okay. There's this weird universe that my brain was in whenever we were growing up and stuff. Of like, just I really didn't have a critical eye yet. I just watched these movies and just like I didn't know how to feel when I obviously didn't like it.
This might have to be a rewatch because this cast is amazing.
Yeah, I know. It's literally been since then because
what?
I didn't like it.
Yo, I'm gonna have to rewatch this crap. Will Arnett, Michael Shannon, Michael Fassbender. John Malkovich and Mastodon does the.
And I remember that theater being pretty packed. What? I'm not even gonna lie. Like I remember it was when we went to Pickwood all the time and sat at the top. One of those ages where the top was awesome.
I legit just straight up. All I remember is I don't even remember us going to the movies to watch it, but I remember me and Doug watching it when it came out, like on DVD. Or Blu-ray or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember that. And then Doug was like, meh. And so I was like, Yeah, that's like a very mad movie, but I remember Josh Brolin is really good in it. I mean, he's really good in everything, but
Yeah.
that's got to be a rewatch, man. I might reevaluate that. I mean, it might still be exactly the same spot on
Well,
the
yeah, I
list,
mean, my
but
perspective now would be nice, yeah.
yeah, I don't
So it
know.
really
That
was
might,
just that one time for me. But yeah.
but anyway, moving on to 67, Blade 2.
Oh yeah, I never saw any of the Blades.
I saw. Okay, I've never seen.
Another thing that's like just gotta watch, like just like
I've never
Superman with
seen.
like Blade 1 and 2.
I've never seen 3, and 3 supposedly has Ryan Reynolds randomly. So 3 might be. I don't know. It might be bad, but I'm not a big Blade fan. But I do like the character because I like Wesley Snipes and everything. And then Blade 1, I like just a tad more. But number 66, Hellboy 2, which is yet another case like Jonah Hex and Blade 2, where I don't remember a thing that happens. I just remember that I did not like it and didn't want to watch it again. Very sleepy movie, very boring, very ugh. And speaking of that vibe, 65, Green Lantern.
Please don't make the super suit green or animated.
I think I can sum it up in one statement. Bland origin story. That's the biggest enemy to this list is the bland origin story. And that's about as bland.
And it's trying to be like, okay, we've never done a Green Lantern movie before. Let's do it. And it's like it's so like it doesn't
and
even
none of the and it baffles me, dude. None of the CGI is good. None of it. Not even like for a second. None of it's good. And all of the casting is terrible. All of it. No good acting either at all. Ryan Reynolds is totally wasted. 64, Blade 1. Blade, like I said, he's a cool character. I like Wesley Snipes. It's cool for what it is, but I'm not a fan. I just can't see myself ever being a fan until like maybe, okay, MCU kind of revamps the whole thing.
Oh wow, I didn't even.
That was great. But anyway, moving on from Blade, 63, Venom.
Hate it that much.
I don't like it. I really don't. There's barely anything in it that saves it for me.
I can understand that.
The only thing that saves it is love is a strong word after what I just said, but I really like Tom Hardy in the movie. I will give Tom Hardy full credit. I love his character is so funny and weird and great.
I think that the CGI through the whole movie, I need to really just give it a rewatch, but the CGI through the whole movie is just not that great. And I wish I know they had to do a lot with Venom because it's a very CGI character. Because it's literally he could just take whatever form and he just forms around Eddie and just like it's a lot to take in for a film to be able to nail that. I understand, but I feel like that could have looked better. So I have big hopes for Let There Be Carnage. Hopefully it won't be the exact same vibe and the exact same to it, and that it'll actually maybe go a little more all out.
But anyway, 62, Wonder Woman 84.
Oh yeah, well I didn't even see it yet. We literally never got around to watch it. But the good thing is now is it's back on HBO Max for free now. So at one point I will.
It's really weird too. It's a very weird movie.
I bet. I mean, even the first one is kind of weird. Like
the first one is weird in its own way, but it's still trying to be kind of like a normal.
Yeah, I mean,
like a normal family movie, if I could put it like that. And then this one's just like
what I heard Paige Jenkins talk about or something. Someone quoted her somewhere saying that she wanted to do. And like the people that worked on the writing it or something really took it in the direction of like, you know what? Let's make a modern Wonder Woman movie that's like classic Wonder Woman though. And it's like that probably doesn't work.
That is your problem. Like it's a weird freaking movie. But any freaking way. 61.
Like it's still 60s. Like,
Birds of Prey. I probably mildly enjoyed it when I watched it, but I don't plan to watch it again. Anyway, number 60. Dredd.
you know, that's one of those ones that I absolutely have been meaning to rewatch because I only
Same here.
It's a crazy. There's a plot there that's really good, like about drug abuse and like everything. Like I don't know. I need to definitely rewatch it in like crisp quality on my
It's a
big
beautiful
TV,
movie, man.
on
It's
my big
beautiful.
TV with great sound, and just I just have a gut feeling that I'll just be like, oh my gosh, like I'm so glad I don't have to remember it anymore. It's just this like a little TV in my room experience with bad sound because yeah, I just that's how I remember it as a
But yeah, 59, and I'm surprised I shoved it this high, but Ghost Rider.
I
It's
mean,
just
yeah.
I mean, it's all right. It's on the lower end, but it's an all right movie. Like it's
Definitely one of the it's another movie like in the same aspect of like first half solid.
first half pretty good.
Last half falls apart.
Yep.
I don't care about anything that happens at the end.
No, I don't know. I like just as much of it that I don't like, pretty much. Anyway, 58, X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh, mercy, love. Yeah, I would actually definitely rewatch Ghost Rider over that by a lot. I wish that Apocalypse could have been better than what it was, like 110%. It had potential because of what we got from Days of Future Past, which is like basically when I really think about it, that's still probably my favorite. Yeah, besides Logan, like I'll just put Logan to the side. Days of Future Past was like my favorite X-Men movie.
It really, honestly, it should be lower on this list. Now that I really remember the movie, it's so bad. It's so bad. And I never saw Dark Phoenix either, so that's another movie absent from this list.
It's like one of the worst of all time.
I don't know. 57, Iron Man 2.
Yeah, strong beginning, falls apart. Just kind of one of those MCU movies that's like, if I'm skipping it, I'm happier.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Even though I obviously love Pepper Potts, Happy and Tony Stark all in it. Amazing jobs, obviously. And then, and sometimes I even forget that Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow is in that movie. That always blows my mind.
I always forget that.
I can never remember when she pops up. I'm like, oh yeah, she's in this movie, and that shouldn't be the case. I shouldn't feel like I'm forgetting things. So, yeah.
Yeah, but 56, Hellboy.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, and a
solid movie. Like that movie is like. I know, Pacific Rim is obviously that director's like better representation of what he can do, but like you can tell when it's one of his movies. They all have a similar sort of vibe. It's mostly in the look of stuff. I like that. I respect him so much for using actual practical like makeup and everything. Like Hellboy could have easily been the most CGI like stupid thing, but even like the fish guy is like actually looks like that, and that's cool, super cool.
The next one is gonna be 55, X-Men First Class.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a movie that has no reason to exist. But here we go with 54, Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah. Thor: The Dark World was the start of me realizing the trend of Marvel villains being weak. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe they did this on purpose, making villains kind of weak so that when Thanos hits, it's like all of a sudden the greatest thing ever. I don't know. Falls apart, but what's your opinion before I keep going?
It's ass.
No!
At any rate, I'm surprised it got pushed up this high. 53, Fantastic Four. I'm surprised it got pushed up.
Wait a second. So you're telling me, or you like Rise of the Silver Surfer more, which is just like,
which is number 52. I like them kind of evenly.
yeah, I guess that kind of
evenly.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're
definitely
awesome.
flip that.
It doesn't
Probably
mean
by
they're
a little bit
awesome,
more. Rise of the Silver Surfer would probably be farther down the list, and then for me, Fantastic Four. I still want to rewatch more. I remember when we saw Rise of the Silver Surfer in theaters, and even back then with our more childlike brains, I didn't. I just remember being like, I think me and you talked about it afterwards. I remember we had a conversation at the posters, like at Pickwood, like we'd always look at the posters and hang out. It was like a weird, crazy memory. I think I remember us just kind of going into it, and I don't know if we necessarily agreed that we didn't like it, but I think I remember expressing just like, man, I'm disappointed. Yeah, what's next?
All right, we got number 51, Judge Dredd.
Oh, okay, so you do like that one more.
It's funny. It's just funny. I don't know.
That's my problem with this. I don't think it was trying to be. Judge Dredd is the vibe.
It's
like,
a Judge
you're watching
Dredd.
it in daytime and it's a sleepy day.
Okay. So top 50. So this is number 50. Kick-Ass.
Okay. Well, like that's me upset.
Yeah,
okay. So we're in this. Both of those movies needs a rewatch. I still feel kind of
I will say
sour towards the idea of we didn't get a solid trilogy out of this. I really wish we would have got a 3. It's just supposedly 2 did not do as well as 1. And
2 I like a hair more, so that's 49. So that's 49 to 50.
Y'all want to know something really, really trippy with this movie is if you pay attention to who the two, like his friend and him, are both of the Quicksilvers.
They're pretty edgy, but they're very creative.
Yeah, for sure.
I like them. Still on the lower end of this list, but I'm all right with them. Okay, 48, X-Men 1.
What is this trend? The first half's being great. Like, I love the build-up of Wolverine, the cage fighter aspect, all this stuff. There's this weird thing where, like, I didn't ever really know that was Sabretooth, that one guy that, like, attacks him or whatever. That's really weird because that looks nothing like who we got in the Origins Wolverine movie.
I've never been crazy about X-Men 1.
Need to rewatch them. It's another situation where it's like it's been so long. And like to think that this was before Spider-Man 1 blows my mind.
47, Black Panther.
Oh jeez. That's a big change of pace.
It's not an origin story, so I'll give it that. But it's basically all the pieces in place for a bland origin story, basically. Even though it's not an origin, but it's still like a cliched, lazy movie. But
I don't know. It just like I do understand your feelings. Like if I had to have negative, is it feels like it falls flatter than his role in Civil War, and that shouldn't be for his own movie. It should escalate. It should be even better than what he does and so like and feel, but like I really
it's like
I love T'Challa. Like I love that he got his own movie, and Chadwick Boseman, just amazing actor, and I hate that we lost him because that makes me very, very curious about what are they doing with Wakanda Forever. I don't know.
Okay, switching gears once again. 46, X-Men 2.
X-Men, X United or whatever, X2 United, whatever the heck. So it was a movie I definitely watched a lot at my parents' house because I don't know, man. I just recorded movies and watched stuff out of boredom, I guess. I'm just being a kid on the weekend or whatever. And I have a lot to thank to that of being a superhero movie fan now. If it wasn't for me really starting out with like seeing Daredevil and like X2 and all this stuff, I'm not saying I wouldn't be a superhero movie fan, but like it definitely went a long way.
Yeah, this is Future Ryan here. I was just going to let y'all know that we were going to plan to do a part 2 to this. Basically, we decided to cut it off there. Our recording software cut off anyway at a certain point. So anyway, yeah, just letting you know that we're going to split this into 2 parts. And if you want to go see part 2, that's pretty cool. If you made it this far and you still want to watch more, that is awesome. But yeah, that was part 1. And yeah, X2, I didn't really like it, cut off before I could give my thoughts. I'm not crazy about it. I like it more than 1. It's an alright movie, but it's just not something that I would see myself going back to really anytime soon. That's kind of why it's like as low as it is. I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. It's just kind of there to me, but I don't know. I mean, like now we're getting to this point where I don't know, it'll be interesting going forward. But anyway, yeah, I'll see you in part 2.